do a little 3, 2, 1, and let's kick off our spaces for the 12th of May. So for those who are listening to us now, thanks for coming in. I know we started a little bit late, later than usual. And also for those who are listening in to us later on YouTube or on spaces here later on the recording. So Divi, as you know, is a project created in 2017, and the blockchain has been running successfully since September of 2018. The Divi of Divi, the goal of Divi is to make crypto easy and accessible for everyone, everywhere. And we've been talking a lot about it, and we've been pushing a lot of products around that and features. And as you know, Divi Wallet is our main consumer-facing product, and that's a self-custodial mobile wallet. And we have recently also introduced Divi DeFi. So that's not everything. We've got so much more coming up, and we will actually talk about it later today. With our light paper and what else is coming up in the future. So lots of exciting things to cover. But without further ado, over to you, Rob.
Sure. Let's take a look. Let's have 3 things we're probably going to talk about today, or are going to talk about, but if we expand a little, that's okay. As usual, we're going to cover some DAO stuff. There are 4, actually there's 4 votes up right now, but there's also another one that we're discussing, so I'll get to that. We're going to talk about a new lead developer that we are trying to hire. And we're going to go over part of the light paper, which we haven't released yet, but progress is being made. This is really a lot on me, and I am really trying to get this thing out, but I really want it to be right and well done. So we'll just talk a little bit about that and, hopefully get some feedback on all 3 parts. So we have Voice with us. Maybe we can do some other development stuff if we've got time. So I'm just going to continue in. Let's talk about the DAO. There are 4 votes up right now. Again, just with the DAO, for anybody who hasn't, who's ever listening to this later, because everybody who's here now has been part of this before, but the DAO is going to be the decentralized autonomous organization that eventually will be leading the Divi Foundation as we separate out the foundation from labs. Right now, we are just organizing on what the governance model will look like. So there's 4 votes up right now about that. We voted on 4 things already. Right now, we have a system by which, in order to participate, you need to join the DAO. Right now, we're doing that on Snapshot. And if you go into the Discord to get directions on that, we've decided that you need some eDivi, and to propose something, you need a proposing NFT, and to vote, you need a voting NFT. If you're running vaults, you will be getting those automatically. But if you're not running vaults, then you can purchase them. So the voting that we did right now was about these various things. So the first one was about a quorum. This vote is up right now. So if you're already part of the DAO, you can go ahead and vote right now. So the first one's about a quorum. So we wanted to make it so that if there's not a lot of votes there, it's not like one person putting up a vote and then now it's passed, right? So you want to make sure you have a quorum of people, and then how big is that quorum? Well, that's what that vote is about. And so go in there and you can read that description and help define what the quorum should be for proposals. The proposal rate, one issue was didn't want the ability to spam the proposals, so that one person can't put up 1,000 proposals that are all different by one word. Like we want to try to. We know that there aren't a lot of idiots, but it really just takes one, right? So this is a proposal rate, and so this defines how often somebody can put something up there. It goes from a no rate limit at all to once every 3 months, but it's separated by categories. When we actually have proposing, they'll be proposing in different areas. So if you propose in one area, you're not rate limited by proposing in another area. Or subject, I should say. So you'll still be able to propose in various subjects, but within a subject or category, the idea here is to rate limit that, and it goes everywhere from no rate limit to 3 months between. So you can get in there and go and vote on that. And then the final thing, as I mentioned, that it requires an NFT to propose, and the NFTs are tiered by your vault level. And it also requires an NFT to vote. So if you don't have a vault, we still want to be inclusive and let people in and be able to vote, propose. So they would need to join, and then they'd have to buy a proposing or a voting NFT, and then they would have some sort of cost that is relevant to the level of which the proposing or voting is applicable. Higher level votes have more power. Higher level proposals are allowed to propose larger projects. And so the question is, how much should these vote? How much should these cost? Sorry. And you can go in there and read up on those, come into the Discord, ask any questions, but those votes are live right now. There's a new one that is not up for vote right now, and you can get in there, join the DAO as it is right now. It just requires 1 eDivi right now. None of this other stuff is required at the moment. Right now, you just need 1 eDivi to be able to join the DAO. And the idea here, I'm a little excited about it because we just kind of put this up today. But there's a lot of talk in the trading channel about getting onto Gate.io because we were offered to list our coin there, but it costs quite a bit of money. And Divi Labs can't be the one who does that. It has to be Foundation. So if you are interested in raising funds for getting listed on Gate.io, it's max 200. We think we can get the price down. We will work on that. But right now the offer is 200K to list our coin on Gate.io. You can go into the Discord, proposal 9, and we have a proposal up, discuss. It's not set in stone. You can kind of discuss what we might want to change and so forth before I put it up as an actual vote. The vote will be go or no go. We just kind of want to make it as inclusive and as exciting as possible. So there are ideas inside the proposal about how we're going to raise funds, but also we'll tokenize that raise, and you can actually put the tokens into liquidity pools and so forth, have fun with those tokens and so forth. So that's all up for discussion right now in the Discord. Head in there. If you've been talking about Gate.io in the trading channel, you should go head in there and participate and refine that idea. So hopefully we can raise funds and get on Gate.io. I don't think I have anything. I was going to detail it because it's really more relevant to talk about it in the DAO discussion. But that vote is there. I'm wanting to put it up for vote on Sunday, but if we're in a heated discussion, we'll just let it go for a little bit longer. So that's going up soon. Okay. Any questions on the DAO stuff? Those I kind of went over quickly, but that's what we got. Oh, I see Mike is requesting.
Yep, I've added Mike.
Honestly, I've never really done this
I got you.
Okay, good.
There you go, Mike. You can.
Mike, you're muted.
Yeah, I know this could be discussed in the DAO, but just because that thought's come to me several times and nobody's really given an answer. Has anybody looked into, because I'm not part of these discussions, anybody looked into like how possible is it just to list the ERC version of Divi to make the cost cheaper?
We can try. That's a good idea. Do you have a reason to? I don't acknowledge that makes the cost cheaper, does it?
Well,
it does.
it's way easier to implement. They don't have to put in a whole new blockchain. That's the main reason.
Yeah. I think we should look into that. I think it's a good idea. I'll discuss it, and then I can bring that up to the DAO too.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll bring that up. Okay. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, I think we don't have any
cool.
questions.
So nobody's caught me yet, but I have put up some work on some various channels. But I'm about to put it up on more popular channels. But we are really looking for a lead dev. So for our wallet group for the mobile app. So we are looking for somebody that has React Native experience, who understands the principles of clean code, who understands the differences between design patterns like MVP, MVC, and MVVM. If you know what I'm talking about, awesome. But we are really looking for a senior mobile app developer to help us with this and get moving along there. I will link the job description in general channel when I have it up, and I'm trying to get inside LinkedIn. That's my next step, but I've had some barriers. So I've had stuff up on Upwork and on Freelancer, and I'm working on Guru and a couple others. But right now, we've been unhappy with what we've been getting out of that. So I'm going to put it up on LinkedIn. If you know anyone, then please route them our way. Then I'm going to continue unless there's something else you guys want to hear about that. Okay. So yeah, we're expanding that team. I guess, Ranuk, we're going to talk about the light paper now.
Yep.
All right, cool. So as I said, we are really working hard on trying to get this thing out. But as I said, I really want it to be in a condition where we can talk about it more freely and so forth. But I also want to keep, discussing what we have so far that I'm feeling pretty good about. We have already talked about how it's solving, there's 4 problems that we're actually trying to solve, where crypto is not really there yet. Those 4 problems, I'm going to just really repeat, is that there continues to be high transaction costs, especially as something new comes to the blockchain, like we've seen on ordinals with Bitcoin right now. There's still a high susceptibility to abuse, not just in crappy smart contracts, but in centralized aspects of it, in terms, not just exchanges, but even multi-sig wallets that control ecosystems and other things like that. So there's still a lot of exploitation that happens that can be addressed. Very limited utility in corporate and government markets. So the most utility we've seen so far is kind of like, this store accepts Bitcoin, and crypto and Web3 is so much bigger than that, with so many bigger possibilities. But there's very little traction with the corporate and government market so far. And so there's a wide open space there that we want to address and bring them in. And I'll discuss why, one reason that we want to jump on this in a moment. And finally, there continues to be persistent privacy concerns. So the world is still reliant on Web2 systems, where you basically give up all your privacy and control over your data. And there's a lot of leakage also. So Web3 is really about addressing that. So moving the project, growing the project out of being a cryptocurrency project and into a Web3 project is super important for us. This is the way that we're going to be able to get more eyeballs, more funding, and more utility. I saw a comment in general about leaving crypto, and nothing could be further from the truth. I wanted to address that live. It's simply not true. And B, we need, promoters of crypto need to understand that there's more to crypto than currencies. And these platforms that we're building in Web3 is really this wide open space. And there's so much more to do to address all of these issues. And Divi Labs and the blockchain that it's leveraging is jumping in there because there's a ton to get in there, and there's a ton of features that we can supply corporate and government markets, as well as continuing to address person-to-person feature sets like we have been. So I just wanted to address that. Leaving cryptocurrency is not true at all. It's growing and addressing far larger markets and bringing those dollars and those eyeballs to the Divi blockchain. That is basically, I could say that's been 95% of Nick's work over the last 6 months. Is in a way that we can't really describe to everybody the details of, because every time we leak something like that, we get burned pretty bad. But that's what he's been doing. Hopefully we'll see some fruits of that really soon. Meanwhile, we need to start building in that direction. So the second part of the light paper, we had already talked about the digital asset wallet. And the second part of the light paper really goes around digital identity. And really this is how you are represented in a Web3 space, where your data and your access to services, you get to control. And in that is a set of features that we would like to deploy. So it's not just having these assets, but there's some of the features, like some of the easier ones, is to enable feeless transactions, right? That's one where one thing that is behind me is when I would pay $100 to somebody, when I do it on blockchain, keep in mind, we want to get into a place where it's not just crypto people, right? We want to use crypto tools to address people who are not into crypto, and will accept that when I pay $100, somehow I'm not paying $100, right? So part of our ability to get into ticketing or loyalty or other markets or so forth is that when somebody wants to send a certain amount, it appears to them that they've sent that certain amount, not something else, not some other number, right? And because of the fees, right? You don't do that when you go to the store and pay $39.52 for some groceries. You pay $39.52. So feeless transactions is one way to get into that. Would be part of our digital identity. That's a relationship and why it's in digital identity is that's a relationship with somebody who is going to pay those fees, right? The fees don't disappear. It's just you don't pay them, right? But you need to have a relationship with a company that pays that for you, but that digital identity is the connection between you and that company. It shouldn't be you and your identity. I live here. I have 3 kids. I buy clothes at H&M. It should be this wallet that's your identity, and that's the relationship between you and whoever is subsidizing those fees. They don't go away, but they got to get paid somehow. That's what a feeless transaction really is. So that's why that's in our digital identity platform also. But we really want, I mentioned before, we really want our digital identity to be useful across the board. MetaMask really is a digital identity, right? You get to use EVM-based services through MetaMask, right? And MetaMask is an example of your digital identity on that blockchain for those services. Imagine that for everything. So the Divi wallet should aggregate the various digital identities for different services around the world, whether it's on Ethereum, another blockchain, not a blockchain, or just somewhere in Web3. That's what your digital identity is looking like. It is a proxy between you and whatever services that you are intending to use. So that's the portable identity that we're looking to incorporate there. This will allow each individual to be able to monetize their own user data. That's one thing, is like, what data do you want to let slip through, and to whom through your digital identity, and how much are you going to get paid for that? That is another feature of having this portable identity. The other thing, this one is going to be fun to explain, but I do want to bring it out in the open right now. CBDCs are coming. And I hope there's nobody that disagrees with that because they're inevitable. Lots of businesses, lots of governments have been looking into it. UAE is heavily looking into it. The governments want to jump on a digital currency that works for them. So it'll now be a feature that you can pay taxes in with your phone, right? So I'm not going to go into a big diatribe on the goods and bads of CBDCs, but we at Divi Labs think they're going to exist. We should be compatible with them, and we should offer a way to get in and out of them. That's basically what it is. So the one we're looking at, not the CBDC, but the platform that the CBDCs rely on, are going to rely on, is something called Corda, and it's made by a group called R3, which is a group of like 100 banks, I think, and they're developing this platform called Corda. It's not a blockchain, but it is a digital ledger, and it has a lot of features in it that A, governments like, and B, businesses like. So multiple competing businesses can work on the Corda platform, and they can transact in a way that they can pay their vendors, and their competitors won't know about it. So this has been an issue with public ledgers like Bitcoin, is that businesses don't particularly love the idea of being on Bitcoin because now everybody can see your transactions. So Corda does, addresses that. Private blockchains address that, and and permissioned blockchains also address that. So Corda is providing a way for businesses to have this sort of utility, much like a blockchain. So there's a lot more features. You can go ahead and read up on Corda. You can read some of the case studies, which I found interesting, about why some businesses are preferring Corda even after looking at blockchains in Web3. So we're looking at being compatible and allowing ways to slip in and out of it, so that, maybe that was a bad term, but move in and out of it as they need, that works for them, because they're going to be sitting behind their digital identity that interacts with that platform. By having Corda R3, we can also offer, by being compatible with it, we can also use the features of low-cost cross-border transactions, and other things that kind of work with fiat currency. So ultimately, on-ramps should get easier than we're having right now. I think that's really all of it. I would also like to see secure messaging in there, kind of in a way that Venmo has some messaging in it about it, but that's something we'd like to stick in there. So that's all part of the digital identity platform, which you'll be able to read about more in detail in the white paper when that comes out. I think I hit everything here.
Yep, that sounds good. If I may, I don't know how much you can say. What's the part you're most excited about in the light paper, Rob?
Oh God, I've said it before. Sidechains. It's not the Divi Labs. It's not the Divi Labs light paper. It's Divi project. But sidechains are the thing that we get to leverage like lots of this cool stuff with. So all of the stuff, like there's a lot of stuff here we cannot do on the Divi blockchain. Well, we can, but it'll make it sucky in the same way you've seen that Bitcoin got a bit sucky when there's NFTs on it, right? They have a perfectly good sidechain. I wouldn't say it's perfectly good. What we're building is better. I'll get to why in a second. But there's a sidechain called Rootstock, and it works. It's an EVM. It's directly linked to Bitcoin, and NFTs can be there and so forth. And yet, in my view, Bitcoin got loaded up with this other stuff, and it was not necessary. Sidechains fix that. Our sidechains, most sidechains work in a specific way. What they do is you basically to put it simply, to move from a main chain to a side chain, you put your funds in a multi-sig wallet, and then you are given funds for the side chain. That's the peg for getting in and out of the side chain. And the multi-sig wallet is usually held by some peoples. And again, if you look at the Rootstock side chain, you can see that they did, I can't think of anything better that could be done to make sure that the people holding that multi-sig wallet don't pull the rug on that, right? But the fact of the matter is there's still a cartel kind of controlling those funds. Without saying how, I just want to assure that what we're getting into is a way to truly decentralize the peg in and peg out of funds into our side chains. Once we have side chains, that means we can have an EVM that powers all of this stuff. We can have far simpler side chains that directly don't even need an EVM to do liquidity pools, to do crowdfunding, we can have side chains that do all that stuff far easier, far safer, and without loading up our main blockchain at all. So side chains are really moving us into this, or really what's going to move us into this region. And that's what I'm mostly looking forward to. After that, for me, it's digital identity, because there are some cool stuff now with digital identity. If we have this actual proxy between you and the world, right, then there's some real neat possibilities with combining those with AI agents and having them act for you in ways like telling your digital identity to do things, as opposed to using your digital identity as a firewall, right? There's really two different kind of things that are possible once the digital identity platform or kind of concept has been actualized. So that's what I think is really kind of neat coming down the road with digital identities. And I don't think we're the only ones who are going to do that, but I think we're the only ones that I know of attacking it from now and in this way.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rob. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, I do. I think about the identity thing. Is the idea basically like an NFT with our data that, when we're interacting with anything on Web3, that our information just like shows up anywhere?
I think you can think of it that way, but the reality won't be that way, right? Because you really need to consider our platform, whether it's the desktop wallet or the mobile wallet or whatever. But your presence on our platform it lives inside the digital identity, because it may be so. For example, there's a project called Solid, and it's made by Tim Berners-Lee, who we kind of credit with inventing the internet in the form that we see now. And he is also frustrated with the loss of privacy on the internet and also the cartelization of the internet itself. So he created this project. It's not a blockchain at all, right? So using the feature sets that he's coming up with, it's a data storage kind of concept. Using the feature sets he's coming up with, there's no NFT concept for digital identity that is compatible with that service or with that platform. So digital identity is probably this basket of things, of tools that you use your mobile app or your desktop to interact with things that are out there in Web3, which is not necessarily just this one NFT, right? And even MetaMask, right? As I said, that's kind of a part. That's a digital identity for using Ethereum, EVM-based services on some blockchains. There's no NFT involved there, right? It's your wallet. It's really your wallet that is your identity, not an NFT. Although some platforms might require, like our DAO requires an NFT to get access. So therefore, that NFT gets put into the basket as part of your identity towards working with the DAO. Does that make sense?
little bit. I guess I'll have to see, how we plan on implementing it. I just know I even become wary. I mean, one of the security measures we often take when we're interacting with different smart contracts, like, hey, create a new wallet for this or create a new wallet for that so you don't get exposed. And so when I think about an identity tied to, I guess, maybe our seed words, it seems scary that you can lose everything all at once.
Yeah, I agree. And so I don't think you will see, because there won't, well, there's a number of things for that. But number one, as you interact with many things, it literally can't be the same seed words, right? Some things don't even use seed words. And so just depending on what you're reacting, you're right, on the inside, your access to those things are not necessarily available even from the inside, right? So you actually have to get into your app and then put in a password to release the seed words, right? So there's friction in both directions on either side of that proxy. And so, as we go, we will definitely have to develop and consider more tools for the access on either side of that proxy.
Any more questions, anyone? Voice, is there anything you'd like to add on any of the things we talked about earlier?
Voice, you want to give us some developer info?
Sorry about that. I dropped earlier, so I don't know if you guys noticed that, but my phone died. What was it? You asked me the first question there, Ranuk, and what was that? Not the developer one, but what was the question?
Oh, just any thoughts to add to what Rob's been talking about?
No. Well, we've been talking about it. I think because there are unknowns, right? So since these conversations are new, as Rob can attest, as just even hours ago we were talking about it. This is such a big thing that when you look at this, you start to guess or you start to formulate opinions. And I think that's probably where that comment came in Discord, is because when you have unknowns, you fill them with things based upon your previous knowledge or previous experience. And it's human nature to think, oh, something is changing, that's bad. And so you get a comment like that. When in reality, once you finally dig in and discover what Rob is talking about when it comes to changing who is paying the fee in this case, essentially. We call it feeless. It's feeless for the sender. How does that work? How does your digital identity work? Does that put me at risk of my seed words, right? It's an unknown, so we have fear. Or how do the side chains work? What does that do? These things are still so new. We're talking about Bitcoin as far as it's an older technology, but it's still a nascent technology. It's still growing. In fact, if you read some of its code still in its wallets today, it pretty much says you take all risk at using this. There's a reason for that. It's just set the mental tone that when you're using it, it is new. You're going to experience new things. So if I were going to say anything, it's ask questions and discover and know that everything centered that Divi Labs is doing is still focused solely on the community and making sure that you have the ability to participate in whatever type of platform you would like to participate in. You are sovereign in those cases. And I think those are probably the most important things. There may be things that, as we talk about being sovereign, you may make decisions that I may not make, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't make them. And so everything should be an opportunity for you to have the freedom to choose to participate in. But nothing should ever put you at risk of your privacy or your security or those kinds of things, unless you choose to do so. This is a much bigger growth than you guys can imagine as far as opportunities are, what's coming down the pipe, especially after master nodes migrate to the validator node process. This is going to be pretty amazing. So mine is more preachy, I think, than adding any tech. Mine is more preachy, saying that you should ask me questions or Rob questions or Neek's questions or random string questions, because our focus is solely on you.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Any questions on that? Look, I think you really eloquently put that there. Well, thank you. And then any dev updates to share with the community as well?
Well, every time I give a dev update, you guys know Neeks is hammering me about this. Rob can attest to this. There is, as I stated before, the amount of work, which Rob can attest to because he can see it, and Ranuk I can show you at any point in time, and so can Neeks. The quantity of work, even though the team is much smaller, right? We already know the team is smaller than it was. The magnitude, the mountain of throughput, if we want to talk about it like that, what is coming out of the pipe is more than 100% increase, even though there's 2 less devs. And you can surmise why that is, but it's magnificent, and that's why I can share videos of changes, because of the who is behind helping, guiding, driving the team. But that also brings to the point that Rob was mentioning before, that we're looking for a lead dev. The lead dev right now is Random String, who is our core engine, the full blockchain dev, and his ability to create, if we want to say, with the focus on sovereignty and security and privacy. That's what we need him doing, because the core is what is fundamental to everything from the foundation, and everything fundamental from what Divi Labs itself is building on, with all of these other features and functions. So we need to prioritize him so he can still be the dev over the lead dev, but essentially shift that so we have somebody else in that team. So we're looking, ask friends, ask family members. I know you guys know somebody. It would be great if we could bring somebody in from the community, as honestly, Rob and I are both from the community, and so is Neeks. So if we can bring somebody in from the community who has that level of knowledge and level of experience, I think that's no offense, Ranuk. I think it's great when we can do that, right? Because some of us have come in from the outside, but I would say the majority of us have come in from the inside, and it comes with a better perspective. That's today, after cleaning the swamp. But that's all I'll say.
Absolutely, and that's what makes a great team. You get perspective from both sides. Otherwise, it's going to be just slanted towards one side.
That is true.
So yeah, I've seen all the work that's going on, but actually, to add to that, I think what's even going to be amazing is that we can share with all of you all that work that's going in the background. So Neeks and the team have been working on a dev journal. So as soon as that's ready, we will share that with you as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll keep you informed, and I think you can then see all the the monumental work that's been happening in the background. So the team is working very hard, like Voice said, and you can also get involved and see what's happening. And again, if you can help us with anything, absolutely, please do as well.
Yeah, it'll be great, because I think most of the people listening here also have those questions. What's going on, right? So you can ask, but it's going to be coming to the blog, and you'll be able to see as often as it's updated what is going on. It's the magnitude is it's mind-blowing.
Brilliant. Cool. Thank you, Voice. I think we're coming to an end of our allocated time. So before we, are there any other questions? No.
Awesome.
Well, if you ever have any questions, of course, you can reach us on Discord or Twitter. Get in touch with any of us, and we'll be around. Otherwise, we'll keep sharing as and when we can. We've got lots of things coming up. I think it's really, we are very excited about, the roadmap ahead and all the things that are coming out. We're also working on a new website. So, all of that is going to really help, take Divi to the next level, and obviously help all of you as well. So we are very excited. So with that, thank you all. Have wonderful weekends, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye now.
Cheers. Bye-bye.